What is going on, everyone? My name is Kevin. Today I am doing the full comparison of the Samsung Galaxy A71 and the iPhone SE 2020. This video was requested because of how similarly priced they are. If you're looking at the best you can get at this price point from the Apple ecosystem or on the Android platform, this is the comparison video to see. Now, I've already compared the SE to other offerings from Samsung, so for that reason, this is not going to be my regular comparison video. I'm going to cut to the chase and still show you all the stuff you want to see, the main feature overview, the camera comparison, and we will of course do a speed test. Let's start with the features that the A71 is packing and the SE is not. Samsung has provided us with both biometric unlocking methods, a quad rear camera lens, a headphone jack, micro SD card slot, and the practically bezel-less design thanks to its hole-punch front camera cutout. Apple's approach for the iPhone SE was clearly the antithesis of Samsung's, because what we have on the other hand is the good old home button scanner, a single rear lens, and the bezels of a device from 2014. It's a much less feature-packed phone, but the features that it does have are fully baked, mostly because so many components it uses are from older iPhone generations. Yet somehow that plays into the pros of this phone. In this comparison, I'll talk about how iOS 14 has changed the iPhone's appeal and how an update brought improvement to the A71. We'll get more into that later. First is a quick spec rundown. The Galaxy A71 is packing the Qualcomm Snapdragon 730 processor. This is paired with the Adreno 618, and this whole chipset is not new. In fact, it was found in last year's Galaxy A80, which I also reviewed. This chipset is paired with 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, depending on which variant you opt for. I have 6 gigs of RAM on this model, and the good news here is that both versions come with a base storage of 128 gigabytes. This is fast UFS 2.1 storage, and as I mentioned, this phone has got a micro SD card slot, so that's giving us the ability to expand the storage even beyond that. The $399 iPhone SE is only 64 gigabytes. And that's enough for my use, but if you want to actually go out and upgrade your storage on this phone, those storage upgrade costs are a lot higher than going out and buying a micro SD card to put in the slot of the A71. This phone only has 3 gigabytes of RAM. It's packing the A13 Bionic chip from Apple, which is also found in the iPhone 11 Pro. I mean, this chip is so powerful, it's actually what helps to warrant this comparison between two devices that are so dissimilar. The difference in physical size between them is somewhat jarring for those of us who love smaller phones. The Retina LCD of the SE is 4.7 inches, and the whole phone is small enough to fit into the 6.7-inch Super AMOLED Plus display of the A71. The Samsung phone has a more pixel-dense screen. It's 393 pixels per inch on the A71 compared to the iPhone's 326 ppi. In person, almost anyone you show these both to will prefer the Samsung AMOLED panel, and that's because the colors are beautiful, the viewing angles are great on this panel, but what stands out the most to me when compared to the iPhone are the deep AMOLED blacks. Now, this will go a long way to preserve battery life for you on this phone if you actively use darker UI elements. Now, speaking about battery life, this is another area where these phones differ widely. The iPhone is packing a 1,821 mAh battery, which is dwarfed by the Samsung's 4,500 mAh. I'm already content with the 4 hours of use the SE is getting me. The difference when it comes down to screen on time is about an hour and 20 minutes of more use on the A71. The battery capacity makes up for that giant display. For my use, I can extend the iPhone's battery life to last me all day, but with the Samsung phone, you don't have to worry about conserving battery. Any way you look at this department, it is a big win for the Galaxy phone. Quick note about the speakers, the SE surprisingly takes the win in this category thanks to its more immersive stereo feel. I say surprisingly, but it's only because of the size of the iPhone SE. This is one category where Samsung really has to improve upon for the next iteration of this phone. The A71s, or the A72, whatever they end up calling it, has got to have better speakers for that generation to be worth it over the current generation. Like I said earlier, we will get into the speed test, the camera comparison, more features, and everything else, but first, let's talk about what comes inside of the box of either phone. The Galaxy A71 is coming in with good accessories. The super fast charger, which has a USB-C input, the double-end USB-C cable of course, SIM eject tool, and the earbuds. Your unit may come with a clear case, like mine did. With the SE, we get the Lightning earpods, no standard headphone jack adapter, a standard 1 amp charger, and the Lightning cable. Alright my friends, it is now time for that speed test. I'm gonna make these tests fair, connecting to the same network, and before I start them, I'll close all of the background apps. My tests are conducted with the iPhone running the latest version of iOS 13. It wouldn't be fair to run the beta of 14, but after this, I will talk about the general performance of the new iOS. The boot up win goes to the iPhone SE. Here are the usual tests you see me perform in the comparison videos, opening up apps. The results were not shocking. The fast A13 Bionic chip inside of the iPhone SE edged out even the Snapdragon 730 processor, although the A71 held up better than the A51 did against the iPhone in speed. What the test doesn't fully encompass is the reliability of the chip, how often you'll run into app crashing and the occasional lag. With 3 GB of RAM, multitasking on this device is no problem, in large part thanks to iOS's more advanced task management. With this said, the extra 3 GB of RAM in the A71 goes to make up for any hindrances One UI may bring. In daily use, I did not encounter any multitasking issues with either phone. After a software update in July, the A71 has actually been running just as fast as it was out of the box. Not only that, Samsung brought some flagship phone features from the S20 to this phone in a software update, which is a good sign that they're starting to care about customer satisfaction long term. On daily use, the A70's Snapdragon 730 chip is reliable and allows for just about everything you'd want to do on an Android phone. Compared to the iPhone, it's slightly slower at performing a lot of tasks, but it won't have those annoying app crashing issues that plagued Samsung's older phones. For those wondering, you can absolutely max out game settings in titles such as Call of Duty Mobile on both phones. When I wasn't in the process of testing phones, I found myself using the A71 more than any other phone I have to play games. By the way, I'm almost certain this phone will get the Android 11 update. It goes without saying, Apple's software support is unparalleled. At least for the time being, iOS 14, the beta, has brought some new life to the iPhone experience. No longer will I be complaining about a boring home screen. The beta of 14 runs surprisingly well on the SE. I even have it installed on my 6S with minimal problems. We won't know if this update brings a real noticeable speed improvement until its final release. Time for the camera comparison. The spec rundown is simple. On paper, there is no real comparison here, as the A71 is packing not only a 64 megapixel sensor, but also a 12 megapixel wide-angle lens, a dedicated depth camera, and a macro lens. 4 lenses on the Samsung phone allows for photography styles that just can't be achieved with the iPhone's single 12 megapixel lens, but don't let the megapixel count fool you. The main camera's photos from both come out sharp and the dynamic range looks good. There's a notable difference with the colors. iPhone cameras have excellent color reproduction that look more true to life than the Galaxy devices. Either phone will produce images that you are truly satisfied with. I have extensively gone over the 3 extra lenses that the A71 has in my prior videos, such as the review of the phone. It's important to say here, the ultra-wide, macro, and depth sensing cameras are additions that should be noted if you're deciding between which phone to pick up. The selfie test really comes down to your preference. The Galaxy phone picks up more detail in your face. It's got a slightly cooler tint to the images, and there isn't as much background separation as compared to the iPhone. They both have great video capability, 4K recording, unlike that A21s and the A11 we just checked out, and there's video stabilization on both. The iPhone produces much smoother video, and a big plus is that it can be dunked underwater, whereas the A71 isn't certified as water resistant in any way. In the beginning of this video, I said that this is the comparison to see if you want a phone at this price range. What went unsaid was that the older flagship devices from Samsung and Apple have come down to around this price as a refurbished unit with a new battery. If you would like to see how the older phones hold up today, such as the Galaxy S9, the S10, whatever you want to see, feel free to request that video in the comments. But now, let's conclude this comparison. In the end, it all comes down to how much you value the feature set of either phone. Now, whether that is the water resistance rating, wireless charging, and guarantee of software updates for years on end, or the Galaxy phone's headphone jack, micro SD card slot, and the overall just better designed A71. If you want to see more smartphone reviews, comparisons, and everything else related to phones, make sure you drop a sub to my channel with the notification bell turned on so you can actually get a chance at seeing my next video. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will talk to you in the next one.